Today, I'll show you how to make a Southwestern braised pork in a savory broth of fresh vegetables, chili, cumin, chicken stock, and tequila. So here's how we're going to start my Southwestern braised pork shoulder, kind of carnitas style, but we'll move on and I'll tell you how it's a little bit different. Start with about a cup of celery, diced, not too small, maybe ½ inch. Same thing with onions, a cup of white onions, a cup of carrots, and we're also going to put in some garlic, and it's all going to be going in a food processor so we can process it into not a paste, but almost close to it, kind of like we do for pasta fagioli or even ribollito, or is it ribollitas? So let's see if I can get these vegetables into the food processor with the least amount of fallout. Now, like I said, it's not going to be a paste, but you want to get it really nice and processed, semi-smooth, maybe almost like minced. There we go. We're going to pulse it. Okay, let's do some garlic, because I don't want to put the garlic in the processed vegetables, because I'm going to put the garlic in a little bit later so it won't burn. Smash it with a knife, peel it, cut off to the limb, cut off the little ends, and then we're going to slice it Polly from Goodfellas style, although I'm not using a straight edge razor. I'm trying to get it really, really thin. Okay, hang on to that. Now what I've done is I've cut up some pork shoulder or pork butt, and this is about 2 pounds of it, and I've cut it into like 2-inch chunks. Before I brown it, I'm gonna salt it and pepper it. By the way, I grind my own pepper. I've got a pepper mill I use for fresh cracked pepper, but maybe once a week I grind my own pepper so it keeps it fresh instead of buying the stuff in the jars. Just turn this over and I'll get the salt in a second. Okay, let's get this show on the road. Southwestern braised pork shoulder, kind of carnitas style. First we're going to put our Dutch oven, or if you have a bigger stock pot you want to use, you're doing bigger batches, you can do that. I really like this size, about right for what we have. Enameled, cast iron enameled pot. Okay, we're going to put in a couple of tablespoons of canola oil, and we're going to brown our pieces of pork in batches so they don't crowd the pan. Let's see. A little bit of sizzle. Here we go. So you want to get a brown on at least both sides, if not all the sides. Like I said, don't crowd the pan. These are 2-inch chunks. See if I can get this done in 2 batches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that'll work. So let those go and get nice and brown on all sides. We'll turn them in 2 or 3 minutes. See what they look like. Okay, it's been maybe 3.5, 4 minutes on this first side. And you flip it. Not bad. The more patient you could be, this is where you really got to be patient, because it takes a while. Because that browning on there is definitely going to give you the flavor. I set my timer for another 3 minutes. Turn it down a little bit, it's getting kind of hot. Let it go. Okay, it's been another 3 minutes on that side. Nice. Okay. In my opinion, a cube has 6 sides. Do this to at least 4 of the sides. You're going to be much happier with the results if you get browning on at least 4 of the sides. And side number 4, a timer for that. Okay, have you been patient? I think we've got 4 sides of both of these batches done. By the way, this, when you braise things, some people think that this is the braising part. This is just the browning part. The actual braising is when you put the liquid in. You cook it in liquid for several hours with some vegetables. And that's what gives the meat, that's what makes the meat so tender, is the braising and the liquid. Okay, I am getting impatient, so we are gonna remove these. I'm gonna turn the heat off. I'll tell you why in a second. I'm gonna turn the heat off for a few minutes and let it cool just a bit. And the reason I like to let it cool a bit is because, number one, I'm going to drain most of the oil off of here before I put the vegetables in. I'm draining it in a cup. We're going to add some new oil. And plus, when I put the vegetables in, I don't want it to be super screaming hot. I want it to be kind of medium hot. Okay. A little bit more oil. And here we go. We've got our vegetables that we made in the processor. Maybe one more time on that. The processor, the mirepoix, we're going to let that go for just a few minutes. Watch your heat, because when the vegetables are almost pureed like this, they can burn real easily. You want to get a nice little kind of browning going on them. And I've got garlic to go in, but I'm not putting that in until the last thing almost with this. While you're doing this, stir it often. And you can even see with the vegetables now how with the liquid the vegetables are giving off, it's releasing some of that fond on the bottom. See that, the brown stuff from the meat, which is just pure flavor. We're also going to deglaze the pan with some tequila and the chicken stock. And we'll be on our way to the braising. Scrape the bottom. Use a wooden spoon, or in this case I have a silicone spoon. Not bad. In goes the sliced garlic, and we're just going to give it a little stir for half a minute or so. Garlic burns easy, so you almost always want to put it in if you're doing the browning part. Just toward the end, just give it a half a minute or so. Okay, here's the fun part. We'll see what happens when I put in the tequila. Turn off the heat. because it can be kind of volatile. We're going to try to torch it off. I'm going to put in about a quarter, maybe half a cup of tequila. With the heat off, I got one of these things. We'll see what happens. There it goes. It's not bad because there's a lot of water in there, but you want to torch it off. Helps burn off the alcohol. Once that's happened, turn the heat back on, kind of medium-high, because you're going to bring everything to a simmer. All right, you get your diced green chilies in. A tablespoon of chili powder. A teaspoon of cumin. And all this, the seasonings, flavorings, you know, the cumin and the chili powder, you can put as much as you want in. This is dried oregano, a teaspoon. Two bay leaves. Now a good tablespoon of tomato paste. Give everything a good stir. Get the tomato paste down the bottom so you can kind of caramelize that a little bit and get it going. See how it's kind of come back up to a simmer again. Stir all that stuff in together real well. And we're going to go in with our chicken stock here. Cup and a half of low sodium chicken stock. I said medium high because you're going to bring it back to a simmer. Now at this point, if you want, you could have reduced the amount of chicken stock to maybe half a cup and added, you know, a can of diced tomatoes if you want it a little more rustic and tomatoey. But we have the tomato paste, which gives it quite a tomato note to it. Okay, back in goes our pork cubes, our browned pork cubes. Now, since we browned them, they shrunk quite a bit. You should be able to get them all in one layer. And you don't want it totally covering the meat. Leave them sticking out a little bit. I got one thing left. Got about a quarter cup of chopped cilantro. I'm going to put that in on the top. And we're rolling. You've brought it to a simmer, actually a boil. Now you want to turn it down as far as you can go. Cover it for 2.5 to 3 hours. And you want to check every maybe hour, maybe every 45 minutes to make sure, number one, there's enough liquid, and number two, that it's still simmering and also not boiling. So it's been a little over 3 hours braising these pork shoulder chunks, braised in a savory broth of chicken stock, tequila, onions, carrots, celery, garlic, green chilies, tomato paste, chili powder, cumin, cilantro, and oregano. They're extremely tender and ready to finish and plate up right now. By the way, all the ingredients are listed below in the description, including the ingredients for the creamy, cheesy white grits they will be served with. Please hit the subscribe button and the like button, also the bell if you want to be notified. To finish and plate, this is what I like to do. In this recipe, I used no flour, and I won't thicken it with flour. We will do a little reducing and thickening in the skillet. So put your skillet over medium heat and add about 1 cup or so of the liquid from the braising. Now with a spoon, carefully place a few chunks of pork in the skillet. Be careful, don't use a fork or they will fall apart. And begin basting the pork with the liquid as it simmers. It should begin to reduce a little. Add a tablespoon or two of unsalted butter to the sauce and continue basting for another minute or two until the sauce reaches your desired consistency. To plate, place a portion of the grits on the plate or in the bowl. Now, with a spoon, place a couple of pieces of pork on the grits and then label on more sauce. Don't be shy with the sauce, as you should have plenty. In fact, you can pass some at the table in a bowl. Garnish with fresh chopped cilantro and enjoy. That's Southwestern Braised pork, braised in chicken stock, tequila, chiles, cumin, a bunch of other spices. It's incredible. Give it a try. Thanks for watching.